Hello, I'm Steve Evans, co-founder and director of Account Tests, and this is a short video to assist you in interpreting our critical reasoning test suite report. You're most likely watching this with an identical report in front of you, so let's run through the pages and pick out the key features and test performance measures to assist you in making an informed hiring decision. So first of all, I'm just going to slide on down to page 2, where we just get a quick introduction to the critical reasoning test, what it measures, and the roles this test should be used for. Critical reasoning tests are complex, high-level ability tests suited for roles where people are expected to be able to make sense of complex written text, turn raw data into meaningful numerical information, grasp new concepts outside of their previous experience, and be worthwhile recipients of the time, money, and effort invested in their training and development. In accounting environments, these tests are typically used for graduates, accountants, managers, and other professional groups. Just note towards the bottom of this page, we've actually added a paragraph entitled AI and the Human in the Loop. Critical reasoning ability plays a vital role in someone's capacity to evaluate complex AI-generated text and data to answer questions such as, does this AI output make sense? Can we use it? Is it loaded with hallucinations or misguided advice that could land us in trouble? Critical reasoning also plays an equally significant role in effectively training AI and large language models towards continuous improvement, especially the abstract reasoning test, which has a decades-long track record of high scores correlating with recognizing patterns and sequences in workflows, along with grasping new concepts outside of their previous experience. So let's just roll on down to page 3. We take a look at the norm group. So for this test suite, the norm group is international accountants, professionals, and graduates for the critical numerical and critical verbal tests, with admin and support staff added onto the abstract reasoning test. I want you to think of this norm group as the national pool of applicants for your vacant job. The question this test aims to answer is, how does your applicant stack up against the national applicant pool in terms of their intellectual horsepower to perform the complexities of an accounting, managerial, professional, or graduate role? So then we move on down to page 4, where you get onto the crunch stuff in terms of how your candidate actually performed. For each test, the left to right columns specify the number of questions in each test, the number of questions your candidate attempted, and the number they answered correctly. Then comes the comparative data. The percentile score ranks your candidate's performance against the norm group of other accountants, managers, graduates, and professionals. So if we were to put Carrie into a room with 99 international accountants, graduates, and professionals, we would expect her to outperform 53 of them in the critical numerical reasoning test, 80 of them in the critical verbal reasoning test, 88 of them in the abstract reasoning test. Presented graphically to the right, those translate into an average score for the verbal critical reasoning test, a slightly above average score for the numerical test, and a very high score for the abstract reasoning test. In any of our clients, Carrie will be viewed as a candidate well worth accelerating into the final stages of a selection process, as she's likely to perform at least as well as most accountants and professionals in the complexities of an accounting or management job. At the foot of the page, there's a guide for each of the measures I've just described on this page, just so you've now got them for your future reference. Those graphical scores are presented as text, firstly setting out what each of the tests measures, and then describing the candidate's scores. So Carrie's average score in the critical numerical reasoning test translates into her being as effective as most accountants and managers when turning raw data into useful numerical information by spotting trends, outliers, making fast and accurate calculations and estimations. Carrie's slightly above average score in the critical verbal reasoning test translates her into being slightly more effective than most of the norm group when summarizing complex written information into salient points, picking out true for false information, and teasing out strong from weak arguments. Carrie's high abstract reasoning score suggests she's likely to be particularly adept at grasping new concepts outside of her previous experience and seeing patterns and anomalies in workflows. She is likely to be a particularly worthwhile recipient of the time, money, and effort invested into her training and development, and be particularly well suited to self-directed learning. Page 6 then goes on to present the scores as interview questions to explore occasions where people's critical and abstract reasoning abilities were stretched and how they dealt with those situations. Just bear in mind that interview questions are not generated for above average scores, as the test taker has clearly already demonstrated those abilities in that respect. So then on to page 7, we just get to, which provides some training and sort of like development recommendations for candidates and their managers to use to assist in continuous improvement of critical reasoning abilities. And then the very back page just enables you to contact us with any questions or queries not covered on this interview. Enjoy using these things, and thanks for watching.